Welcome to Stargate SG-1 for the first time still. Not a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jeff Akin, and I'm watching Stargate SG-1 for the first time.
And I'm Brent Allen, and I'm watching Stargate SG-1 for the 47th time. But for the very first time, I am watching this series, dissecting it for those messages. I'm doing the podcaster thing. Messages, the hope of the future. Mirrors to society. How do we be better people to each other? That's what I'm watching Stargate SG-1 for the very first time for this time.
All right, Brent, heads up to everybody watching right now. We decided to watch some episodes out of order. Brent assured me that there's no spoilers, nothing I'm going to miss.
There's none.
So last night we recorded Enigma.
Yes.
Now we're going back to Singularity.
Yes.
So there's just going to be some weird in the rankings, some other things. Just know it's all fine.
It's all fine. Yeah, because honestly, we thought that you would be gone.
Exactly.
And then we had some extra time. And then technology took some of that extra time.
Yeah. So good stuff. So let's not waste any more time, Brent. Let's get into it. The episode we're watching is Singularity. Why don't you tell us about it?
Sure. The episode is called Singularity.
Yep, we got that.
All right, let's go.
I think the air date's
That's
actually pretty.
About all it is.
You told me. You already told me. Spoiler alert! You told me the air date.
The air date is Halloween. This is a Halloween episode. I always think that Hathor is the Halloween episode because it feels like it should be. But no, this is actually the Halloween episode, 1997.
Cool.
Keep this in mind as you watch this at the end of the episode. They're going to go on a break after this episode.
Okay.
For quite a while.
Really?
Yeah. And then.
So this is like the mid-season break for them.
Yeah, this is what they're leaving folks.
They're going out on this
note.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the note they're going out on. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. If you're new, because every episode is somebody's first episode, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. The way this works is Jeff and I are about to watch the episode Singularity together, and we're going to do it right here live together. And if you're joining us on Patreon or YouTube, you're going to get to watch us do that for the full unedited version, though. That's Patreon exclusive, so make sure you head over there, patreon.com or Babylon 5 first, or check the link below for updated URLs as things get changed.
If you're listening on an audio app, if you're one of our incredible listeners, you are going to jump to the end of the episode. So when we come back, you're going to hear my for the first time reaction, and you're going to hear any of the sci-fi messages that Brent did or did not find in this one.
Fair.
Let's not waste any more time, Brent. Let's kick it off. Singularity.
Chevron 7 locked.
All right, Hefe. So that was Singularity. You took a lot of notes, a lot more notes than I thought you would.
Well, I was thinking about how I've been developing this new note-taking discipline, and I totally disproved that in this one. And I'm going to show that I don't need them because I'm barely going to reference these things.
Okay, cool.
I ranked Cold Lazarus, I think, in the number 1 spot for a minute. Nope, number 2 spot. I think I started at number 2. I think it's sitting at number 3 right now. I said that it's an episode I never want to watch again, but it made me feel.
Okay.
And it touched me in a pretty profound way.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was intentional or not. Like we talked about earlier, we'd had a lot of time to kill as we were getting this thing set up. Really put me in this false sense of like, all right, this is going to be some stupid episode. And it kind of started that way too, of like, okay, we're going to talk about black holes and we're going to do
black holes. And there's the dude with the disease again.
Dude, we got so much in this one, right? So I'm not even going to touch the Cassandra stuff yet. What we learned about what the Stargates are made of.
Naquita.
I got to get used to that. So that's fascinating.
Yeah.
In and of itself. The one that we know it, and now we know it.
So Naquita, I don't recall if they named it, but the people that Ra had taken from Egypt and put on Abydos.
Yes.
They were mining Naquita.
Okay.
That's what they were doing.
Were they mining it on Earth or?
No, on Abydos.
On Abydos.
They were mining it on Abydos.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I just learned that. So that's pretty fascinating. We met we got introduced to a new Gould. Nearty. And I found it fascinating and it made sense. Like the note I took was, okay, so Nearty's up there. We saw, a Gould ship up in space, which is kind of cool. But Nearty is an enemy of Apophis.
Yes.
So I made the note. I said, is the enemy of our enemy our friend, or do they just straight up hate everyone? The answer is they just straight up hate everyone. But it's fascinating. At some point, like you can see this growing. This season, Apophis has been our focus.
Right.
But who's next or who's going to join up and who's going to all this stuff. They all have the same goal of taking Earth off the board. And then the big stuff. So the Cassandra stuff started.
I want to go back to the Nearty thing just for a second.
Okay.
I've never noticed this before. We'll meet Nearty in a future episode. Nearty is a girl.
Okay.
She's a female, at least her host is a female Gould. Assuming that, like most Gould, she has had this host for a really long time. Teal'c called him a he.
Really?
Teal'c referred to him as a he in this episode. Yeah.
I wonder, that's a thing, right? Like, how are Gould gendered, and does it matter what their host is and all that?
I can answer that. You know, because of Hathor, there are queen. And even from Children of the Gods with Apophis, here's me, here's my queen,
my mate.
So the Gould themselves do have at least, well, I don't know, because here's what I can tell you. What if the Gould have gender? Because it's possible that it just could be, because like I think with bees, isn't it like everyone's a male until there's a queen, and then one turns into a queen?
I think so. Yeah.
Right. That could be the way it is with the way Gould. They're all a single gender until somebody has to become a queen, and then they roll over and become a queen.
Yeah.
It does not matter, though, what gender of a host they take.
Okay.
So you could be either.
So you can get the whole Trill experience of being, one time I was a mother, one time I was a father.
Right. Except I think with the Gould, in general, they try not to change hosts too often.
That's what they have. Which
I think may be more of a convention for the storytelling on the show, so that we know who's who.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they just be hopping host all the time.
Exactly. And I mean, it's a convention for the show, but it also makes sense. Like, this is who I am. This is how I present. They have that sarcophagus technology.
And you also saw how picky they were about finding their host.
Yeah.
Like,
you get the right one, you want to hold on to it. So the Cassandra thing started off, and I was still in the mindset of like, this isn't going to be such a great episode. And my first kind of instinct was, oh my gosh, a kid. Very rarely in sci-fi does a kid value add an episode. Which,
by the way, I know I made a little bit of fun. That is exactly why JMS has his policy of no cute kids.
Yeah. It's not, I think about Jay Gordon, in Disaster. Put it in weird dirt. Yeah, that's not good. Just stop. Yeah. The kid in Battlestar Galactica, like in the miniseries, they even had the kid, from there. And then they're like, yeah, no.
Pretty much every time they had kid on Star Trek. Just
not good.
Yeah. Molly wasn't good. The kid that lost his parents on TNG, the kids when they reverted.
Yeah.
Not
good. Yeah. So it's like, okay, we're going to do this thing. And she doesn't talk, and she's, all my people died in tragedy and all this stuff. It turned around quick though. And I want to take you through kind of my journey in this episode was I started there, and then she connected. Before I go into my journey, Teal'c is the one who pulled her out of the brushes. And I was expecting this like hilarious, like fish out of water. I'm Teal'c Jaffa, very hardcore. And now I need to pretend that I'm soft to convince this child to come out. But no, he really was.
Yeah.
He melted. I bet that Ryak he's got the best dad.
Yeah.
Like when he was a kid and stuff, that had to have been awesome.
Well, you and I were joking the other day, and I really wish we were doing it on mic, so I'm going to do it right now. Teal'c abandoned his family, left them for poverty and for
they were shunned.
Outcast, shunning. Still a better father than Worf.
Yep. Dramatically better. Like, so true.
Still a better father than Worf.
So at first I was disappointed that there was this apparent handoff from Teal'c to Sam.
Yeah.
I was like, we're not going to see the Teal'c stuff. That changed fast.
Yeah.
Watching the bond between Sam and Cassandra was beautiful.
Yes.
It was so well done. I don't know this. I don't know if you know this, but Amanda Tapping has to have been a parent at this point in her life.
I do not know if she was or not.
As an actor, you tap into your real life experiences to express that. She was a mom. Like that was parental, what she had going on. And if she wasn't a mom, oh my God. So good. I was drawn in. I was sucked in. When we were watching the episode, we talked about how as parents, this became excruciating to watch. And so much of it was Sam. Now, the kid who played Cassandra did a great job in playing the role she needed to. It was believable when, she held on to Sam and wanted her to stick around. When she said, at the end, I love you. She wasn't an amazing child actor, but she was totally adequate
Right.
And working with Amanda Tapping elevated the whole thing. The episode tried to take us for a ride that this little girl basically had a mega bomb inside of her.
Right.
That was going to blow and take out at a minimum the facility and quite possibly the entire world. And all the way up to the end, right? You've got Jack over here still kind of being a hero. I'm going to stick around, but not really stick around. Amanda decides to go and be with her while they literally lock her in a vault to let this little girl blow up, which sounds heartless, but it would save so many people.
I want to answer the question you just asked because I was looking it up. I was listening, but I was also looking it up. Amanda Tapping, her first child was born in 2005.
Really?
So not when this
my gosh.
was going on. However, and I put this out, Amanda Tapping has apparently had several interviews, articles about dealing with this. So I'm not just throwing stuff out that she's never talked about. Apparently, prior to that child being born, she suffered 8 miscarriages.
Wow.
And had a lot of trouble
conceiving.
Yeah. So I don't know how soon that started for her, but this is 1997. So we're only talking about 7-8 years. Presumably she could have very well been experiencing that here. That might have been what she was tapping into. Yeah. But regardless, I have to say, if I could just comment on that, until this episode, till this watch through, I've never really appreciated Amanda Tapping's acting performance in this episode. I love Amanda Tapping. Mm-hmm. She's a great actress. So many times we're going to catch really good spots from her. I've also said I skip this episode as often as I possibly can. You now understand why. Yeah. Man, her acting in this episode, just off the wall.
So good.
So good.
And it makes sense though. I think, I've never experienced the loss of a child through a miscarriage.
Yeah.
But I have friends who have. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of people, it is devastating.
Yeah.
I have a really dear friend who, similar, I think she had 3 miscarriages before she conceived her child. Mm-hmm. And it was a rough pregnancy. And so her son is going to be her only child that she has. But they actually had funerals for the babies that didn't make it.
Yeah.
I could definitely, like, even if it was just one miscarriage for her, I could see her having that, to tap into. Oh man.
Yeah.
So well done. This was a powerful episode. I enjoyed it. I've got some other like science things that were cool, like basically the Gould weaponizing earth bacterias and things like that. Not afraid to plant a kid with a bomb to
lots
blow
of cool high
up.
Concept stuff.
Yeah. Great episode. This made me feel, I do think though, like I want to acknowledge, and this will probably come up when I rank this episode. While you're talking about your sci-fi messages, I'm going to consider this, but if I watched this episode before I was a father, I don't know that I would have had the impact that it had for me. Before we gate into the rest of this episode, did you know you're missing most of the content from this podcast? Stargate SG-1 for the first time has an active and exciting Patreon that you can join right now by clicking the link in the show notes. Not only will you get access to the full, unedited podcast and reaction videos, you'll also be able to join a growing, vibrant, maybe even an intergalactic community. Subscribers even get access to all of our content from Babylon 5 for the first time. Don't miss out on this content and the amazing people. Just click the link in the show notes. Tilk thinks you should do it right now.
Indeed.
So I first saw this episode when I was a father, and I hated it.
Yeah.
It was an awful episode. Not because of the whole kid stuff and parent stuff. I just didn't like the episode.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because God, it's a kid and the kid's a bomb. And oh my gosh, like whatever.
Yeah.
Honestly, I hate to say it was boring to me.
Yeah.
And it went to all those emotional places that I didn't have a frame of reference for.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can't relate to this. I can't be there because
haven't been there.
I haven't been there, but I was also too young to understand that. I was just, this is an awful episode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Watching this now, there was a point, Jeff, in watching this episode, I had to turn away.
Yeah.
Like I needed a second
because it's so heavy,
so visceral. And I still hate this episode. I might appreciate it a little bit more now, but I still, I don't handle kid episodes well when they do stuff like this, man.
Understandable.
Like it's awful. So
I get not liking it because of the kid thing, but I feel like the Gould stuff and the lore stuff in this was fascinating. Like whenever they jumped to Jack and Teal'c on the planet doing the telescope stuff, when they saw that it was Nirti coming, like I found that stuff really compelling. And then even like, and again, it might just be because I'm coming in after the movie without seeing it, but learning more about the Stargates. Like I feel like this episode was super centered on the relationship between Sam and Cassandra.
Yeah.
But they had enough other stuff. The side dishes they had laid on the table this one were compelling enough that someone could still really enjoy the episode without connecting with that storyline.
It's amazing to me as someone who's been through the show so many times, hearing like, you're just now meeting Naquadah. I thought everybody knew it was made out of Naquadah. Like that's so,
like,
that's common knowledge, right? Like that is, I'll take Stargate for $1, Alex.
Wow.
That's how common that is. You know, Nirti being the goddess who does what she does. Like, Jack actually being pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
I think at this point I am starving for more information about the Gould and their culture and their physiology and their technology.
Yeah.
Cuz really in all of these episodes we've gotten moments of Gould stuff.
Yeah.
I think Bloodlines went the deepest, you know, into stuff for us, and that was a great episode. I really liked that episode, but yeah, I think at this point, I am always going to be excited when we dive deeper into the Gould world, which makes me eager for you to dive deeper into what sci-fi messages you found in Singularity.
I am absolutely astounded at how you just came up with that transition. That was amazing.
Kind of a master.
Well done.
It's fine. It's fine.
Well done.
I'm humble too. So.
I got to be honest. I'm sitting here. I was watching this episode, forgot that that's what I was looking for.
Really?
I was, this is the first time truly. I mean, when I say I skip this episode, Jeff, I really skip this episode every time. Like I do not watch this episode. So it's been a while since I've seen this one. And I was relatively engrossed by the episode that I forgot to look.
I love that. I love that.
And so I don't have it. The worst thing I could say, or the best thing that I was having this thought as you were just speaking is, you remember the TNG episode Iborg?
Yes.
With Hugh. And we had the conversation in Star Trek about the ethics of using a being as a Trojan horse, as a bomb to go back to your spot. And ultimately they decided not to do it. They freed Hugh. They let him go back. And that
led to the Descent two-parter and a bunch of other bad stuff that didn't turn out so well. So maybe not the best choice, but still the ethical choice.
We also caught up with Hugh so many years later in Picard, and actually, you know, he and Jerry Ryan should have had their roles switched of what happened to them, but that's okay.
A lot of shouldas in Picard.
We'll talk about that later. I'm still a fan of the show. You're not.
Not
okay.
so much. Yeah.
Anyway, this showed the other side of like what would happen if you actually did that. And actually, I think backed up the TNG idea of, if you're going to do that, that objectively makes you evil.
Yeah.
You know, because they used a little girl that was purely innocent to put her through this, to turn her into a bomb. That is awful. That is awful, awful, awful. I am now forced to ask the question, does that, run it through the litmus test, does that hold up a mirror to society? Are there places that use kids like that? And probably I would say yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely they do. So that is just, I don't think it's necessarily a message as much just a reinforcing of how awful that is.
Yeah.
To do something like that. Does it give us hope for the future or tell us how to be better human beings? The only thing I could say with being a better human being, the moment that Sam walked away and shut the door and stood and stared at Cassandra, like that was awful. Sam turning around and going back was great. I just knew she wasn't going to explode. Awful. So
yeah,
I feel bad giving this episode any Chevron rating because I literally forgot to watch for those things and I don't really have it, but I could certainly be talked into like 1 or 2. Sometimes episodes are just there to be the episodes and to tug at their heartstrings. So
I feel like there was one moment in this one. Somebody said something. Clearly, I'm prepared for this moment. Somebody said something
because you're supposed to be you're the one supposed to be watching for the messages of the show.
Exactly. Well, this is my thought process. I'm like, oh, that's going to be good. I'm not going to write it down though because Brent's got this.
Yeah,
and so I don't remember what it was. But there was something that was like, oh, there's something there. But I think it would be similar to this, and it was a moment, it was a line, and it's like, oh, that's cool, it's a thing. But it's not the intent of the show, of the writer. It's not the thing that pervaded the episode. Yeah. I'm not opposed to I think the ethical choice, we're talking about ethics here, would be to not give it a chevron rating because he didn't give it the analysis.
So I'm going to officially not give it 0 chevrons.
Yeah, it's a nil.
I'm not giving it 0 chevrons. And somebody's going to email, how could you give this one no chevrons? I literally just said, folks, I want to be really clear.
Crystal clear.
I'm not giving it 0 chevrons.
It just has none.
I think it's just there.
It's just there.
Yeah, it would be unfair of me to do that. But Jeff, you don't get out of this one so easily. You, my friend, get the choice of ranking this one and putting it into the ranking of SG1. I think you're probably going to place this one a lot higher than I would initially, and probably even still today. Our current top 5, Jeff, is The Torment of Tantalus, number 2, The Nox, number 3, Cold Lazarus, 4, Brief Candle, and 5, Bloodlines. And then there's the whole bottom side. Regardless though, Jeff, talk us through, where are you placing this one in our ranking of SG1 season 1?
When I was given my first time reaction to this, I mentioned I'm going to think about this when you're giving your sci-fi message, because as a parent, as a father, I definitely watched this through a certain lens.
Yeah.
This is my ranking, right? It's what it means to me, but I wanted to balance that with what would this episode mean to a not parent? Because I think that's the target demographic. When this show came out, they probably weren't necessarily looking at dads.
Yeah.
They were looking for like those later teen kind of people that hopefully are waiting to have kids, in my personal opinion.
Well, it was on Showtime, so somebody's got to pay for the $17.99 a month.
Well, every company's just out for mom and dad's money. It's how it works. Right. So I considered that, and here's where I started. I started, where in relationship to Cold Lazarus am I going to put this?
Oh yeah,
that's where I started.
Yeah.
Then that thought of what does this mean to someone who's not a parent? Brought it down a little bit. I probably honestly pushed it out of the top 5 at that point. But you said one thing in your sci-fi review that we talked a little bit about during the episode that is a really important factor in how I rank this episode.
Yeah.
Sam is holding Cassandra in that vault.
Yeah.
And she says to her, I have to go. I'm going to go up and I'm going to close the door. She gets out. She walks out and starts closing it. And Cassandra's like, whoa, what's going on?
I didn't realize you're on the other side of the door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sam digs deep, right? She shows real courage, real strength and fortitude. She shuts that door. She seals it. She stops. She goes into the elevator and she's like, here we go. Nope, can't do it. Can't do it. I'm going back. I'm going. It's like, yes, I don't want you to die, but this is the right thing to do. And she goes and she holds her, and we watch the countdown, and nothing happened. Oh my gosh. She was willing to sacrifice herself to not let this kid be alone.
Yeah.
But then we find out it's because she knew she wasn't going to blow up.
She reasoned it out. She just had a gut instinct that she wasn't going to blow up. So it was okay.
Sucked all the wind out of the moment.
Really did.
It
really did.
Honestly, that one thing kind of killed this episode for me. To the point that this, Brent, is going to be our new number 10. Right under Thor's hammer.
All right, so I did the top 5. Here's where we are. Our next top 5 then are The Broken Divide, Children of the Gods, Enigma, because we watched that one before this one. Yep. Thor's hammer, and then you're placing Singularity, pushing down Fire and Water, Enemy Within, First Commandment, Hathor, and Emancipation. Jeff, let me ask you a question. We have talked about this for the last couple of weeks, how there really seems to be this sharp divide between, here are some amazing episodes, here's some really good, strong episodes, and then here's the bad episodes.
Yeah.
And that line has been right at Fire and Water, right above. We're going to place Fire and Water right below the, not really that good of an episode. Is Singularity finding it, which side of the line is Singularity finding itself on?
I feel like, so we have 15 episodes ranked here, and I feel like that same divide happens and it's evenly split. Your top 5 are incredible. Yeah. Your middle 5 are good to okay.
Yeah.
And the bottom 5, if I never see them again or hear their titles, I'll be in good shape.
Fair enough. Well, Jeff, that's going to do it for us for Singularity. Finally, however many hours later it took us to get this particular episode in due to technology. Next time we are watching an episode. I'm not even okay. You're going to have to make a guess as to what this is.
Okay.
This is a made up alien word that you'll find out what it means when you watch the episode.
Okay.
The name is Kori.
Kori?
What is Kori? It is the Kori. Welcome to Kori. Or is it a person? Or is it a what? Kori.
Kori is an athletic. No, it's a combat sports thing. It's like it's their kumite.
Okay.
So they're going to go to this. I'll go with kumite. I was going to bring up TKO from Babylon 5. I won't. I'm going to keep this a Stargate podcast. They're going to go to this planet, and it's going to be like this warrior culture sort of a thing where all the stuff is worked out in the Kori. We're going to go do that. And it's going to come down. We're going to end up, I always do this. I'm like, it's going to be this character, but no. I was thinking, it's going to be Teal'c, but they're probably going to recognize him as Jaffa and be like, no, it's not going to be you. It would be most awkward and have the most drama in the show if it's Daniel. Daniel's going to...
If you want things that are awkward in the show, it's Daniel.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So Daniel's going to have to go into the Kori and defend SG-1 in some way.
Like in an arena.
Yeah, he's going to fight. This is his, Sunkatse. This is the
right.
Kumite. All those.
I will tell you this. This is an episode that I feel pretty much every sci-fi show does at some point in the run. Deep Space Nine did it in season 1.
Okay.
The game we're going to play next time is what episode from Deep Space Nine is this episode?
Wow.
Being.
That's going to test my mettle. I usually skip the first season of Deep Space Nine.
I think you might know it. Well, we'll find out next time right here on Stargate SG-1 for the first time. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Wherever you're catching us, whether it's on Patreon, YouTube, audio podcast of your choice, Spotify, Audible, all those sorts of places, wherever you are, please be sure to like, subscribe, leave a rating and review, share this with someone that you know that loves Stargate SG-1 or Stargate Atlantis, Stargate Universe, wants to see Stargate come back, or anyone who, like my friend Jeff, needs to be introduced to the series, and they can do it right along with him. So, that being said, until next time, hopefully we never see... Hey,
Brent.
Yes, Jeff.
I'm supposed to come up with something witty here, but frankly, in this episode, I got nothing.
You just did what I did with the thing.
Yep.
For crying out loud.